if you've watched my previous videos, you know just how much I love BMW, Mercedes-Benz, not to mention the perfect Alpina. Well, today is a bit of a cheating day because I'm driving Audi RS5 and it's just amazing. It feels so good. I had to re-record this video because blunt me has forgotten to plug in the microphone properly. So there we go again. I'm gonna try to make this video as best as I can. This is a 2.9 litre V6 twin turbo engine, petrol of course. It produces 450 horsepower and a torque of 600 Newton meters. So it's got plenty of power. It is also very quick, 0 to 100, 3.9 seconds, and the maximum speed is 250 kilometers an hour. This, however, is electronically limited, but you can have the speed limit taking off by paying $2,000, 2,000 Swiss francs, and you will go as fast as 280 kilometers an hour. Well, Audi wants money for it. Is it fair? Well, no. Is it worth it? Absolutely yes. We've got 8-speed automatic transmission, Tiptronic, what Audi calls it. And Audi is quite famous for building just good gearboxes. RS5 is no different. Everything is smooth and seamless, very quick to respond. Even on the downshift, be it in comfort mode or in the sport mode, it's just a well-built gearbox. This is also Quattro, what is Audi's term for four-wheel drive, and it is a very good Quattro. Probably also an advantage over the M4, because M4 is a rear-wheel drive car. In this sort of a weather, it's a winter day, I think finally there's a bit of snow coming down, about time. It is slippery, it is also getting quite icy in some places, wet. Not a nice weather to drive, but this is performing very well considering I actually have summer tires. Yes, don't ask me, it's pretty stupid, but I just couldn't resist not driving the RS5. This is just an incredible machine, so even on summer tires it performs very well. This car costs, the naked bare version, it starts from about 106,000 Swiss francs, which is more or less an equivalent to the US dollar. It's a lot of money. The version I'm driving today with some safety kits and extras is about 126k, and it's a lot if you look at the A5 or S5, but the car RS5 drives and looks differently to the A5 or S5. In terms of looks, I like this look. It's sexy, it's sporty, it's just young. It's a little bit boxier and squarer than the previous S5 or A5, but even the previous RS5 is just a little bit the rear especially, but I think it gives it a sporty and more aggressive character. It's definitely a sexy look. What you probably wonder is why on earth has Audi changed from the 4.2 litres naturally aspirated V8 engine to this V6. Why have they done it? Well, for a couple of reasons. The first being the petrol consumption. A lot of car manufacturers claim they are reducing the size of the engine because they want people to use less petrol, and quite often it is actually the opposite. Well, not so with Audi RS5, because this car, I mean, we've got a ticking bomb under the bonnet of this car, and this car uses, I will tell you, 9.5 litres of petrol. That is it. It is incredible result considering it is a performance car. I mean, look, no matter how you look at it, it's fast. It is just, it's a wild animal. So, excellent result. But you all probably wonder, how does RS5 feel to drive? Is it as aggressive and violent as the M4? No. Is it as sophisticated and refined as the Alpina B4? No. It is a completely different animal. It's a RS5 is fast. We all know this. It is very sporty. It is quite hard. It is responsive, sharp. Still, it is pretty aggressive. We have 4 different modes we can drive in, and that is comfort, also dynamic, and individual. Individual, of course, gives you the opportunity to change the gearbox, the throttle response, the suspension settings to suit your mood, to suit your needs, and to suit whatever's that you're about to do in RS5, and you can do a lot in this car. Then we've got auto. I'm not sure what that stands for, to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of auto in general, because my understanding is that the car will actually give you settings that it believes it needs to give you. I presume Audi can read your mind. That might be so. I might not be aware of this, but in general, why would you want to let the car control your actions if you're gonna spend over 100k on a car like this? So yeah, have the control, have the fun, plenty of fun. There's comfort as well, of course, and comfort is a mode that is surprisingly quiet. It is surprisingly relaxing for this kind of a car, because let's not forget, we've got the wild wolf under a bonnet. So much horsepower, so much torque, yet it can be really quite calm. It is also, there's not much wind whistle coming through, a little bit, yes, but this is not something to complain about. In terms of gearbox, the gearbox actually shifts very quickly, even on a downshift. The throttle response is not slow, it is very fast. Comfort mode, yes, but it is a fast response. You put your foot down, things are happening very quickly. The suspension, now that is something different, very different to the M4 or the C63 AMG, Alpina. The suspension of, if you've driven a lot of BMWs, a lot of Mags like myself, it takes time to get used to it, because the suspension is not soft, it is not that hard as in the M4. When it absorbs the bumps, the sort of imperfections on the road, it tends to bounce a little bit. That's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion. It's just something to get used to. It absorbs bumps well. You can still feel them, because this is a performance car, so let's face it, we need to be connected to the road, and you are very connected to the road in RS5. But the suspension because it bounces a little bit up and down, so if you're a woman and you're quite a significant size in the front, you better be getting a good bra, because you'll be bouncing, everything will be bouncing. How inappropriate of me to say that, oh dear. And then there's, of course, the dynamic mode. Oh, going back to comfort mode, you still hear the exhaust. The sound is there and it's beautiful. But that is a lot more pronounced in the dynamic modes. I'm just about to hop on the motorway. Let's see just how pronounced the sound really is. So how does the car feel in the dynamic mode? The suspension stiffens and it becomes a lot harder, a lot firmer, but it's still actually okay to drive long distances. Absolutely fine. The gearbox, I've got a car in the front of me, so I can't quite demonstrate it, but the throttle response is just so quick. You hear the exhaust, it is really pronounced. and it sounds so beautiful. It's a different sound to the M4, which is a lot more, it's a lot rougher, it's a lot more violent. This is more aggressive than for instance the Alpina before, but yeah, it's good. In terms of steering, I know there have been complaints that the RS5, the previous generation, was, you know, there's issues with understeering. I don't think this is the problem at all. I don't feel any sort of understeering. In fact, the car is very, very responsive. Even in comfort mode, there is no sort of, it's just awake, it's just so lively, it's ready for action, it's ready when you want to turn slightly, and this is particularly important on curvy mountain roads in Switzerland. So I have really enjoyed the steering of this car. It just handles so well, yet again, it's different handling to the M4 or the C63, but overall it's just a beautiful car to drive, whatever use that you decide to do in it. The couple of things I really like about Audi RS5, and that is the visibility, because the visibility is very, very good. Quite often with coupes, the visibility is fairly restricted, especially with a rear window. That's not the case with RS5, and it's nice to be able to see everything. You have the cameras, yes, but still nothing replaces the actual, you know, eyesight. What else is good? The boot actually capacities, I believe 450, 460 liters, and yes, it is still a coupe. The room in the rear is not too bad at all. Again, this is a coupe, so let's not complain, exaggerate. The seats are lush and comfortable. If you decide to have a little bit of fun, perfect. They will hug your body, and they will hold you in firmly and tightly in place. But also they're very good if you decide to go you know, long distance cruising, because they're soft and silky and comfortable. Some complain, and I think there's a very fair point, is that the seats actually of RS5, this is the maximum, this is the lowest you can sit, and it's not that low. So for a performance car, perhaps this is a little bit too high. The interior of RS5 is just so lovely. It just fits perfectly to this kind of a car, because it's modern, it's fresh, it's young, and everything has a purpose. Excuse me. You know, there's no extra buttons which are not needed. It's simple, straightforward. The entertainment system, of course, this is probably BMW and Audi, they build the best entertainment system, period. So overall, what do I think of Audi RS5? I just think it's such a lovely car. It's, you know, do I like it better than the M4? Do I like it better than Alpina before? Well, it's a very different kind of an animal. Unless I was forced to decide, and I would probably decide, but otherwise it's just really RS5 gives you the best of both worlds. You can have so much fun in this car. I mean, you can really go wild in this car. What am I talking about? Take it on a racetrack, yeah, job fulfilled, job done. You can also cruise along the coastline, you can cruise long distances, and it will give you this quietness, this comfort that a lot of sporty coupes and a lot of performance cars forget, you know, even the sports cars, they will never be able to give it to you. You know, this car puts a lot of supercars which are double the price to shame, because it's just incredible the way it responds to your foot, the way it responds when you steer. I am blown away by this car. And that's it for today. But what I wanted to ask you is that, have you driven the RS5, the previous generation perhaps, you can compare it. Have you driven the S5? Let's have a chat, let's have a discussion. And on that note, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!